Hello and welcome to episode 6 of the Pacific Perspectives podcast. I am Nux Memes, along with, as always, the wonderful Xavier Miyamoto.
Wonderful, he says.
This is the podcast where a Canucks fan and Oilers fan yell at each other. And we have enough to yell about this week, seeing as we just played each other in fantasy.
Oh, we got lots to yell about. We're going to get... Oh, there was a lot that happened with both of the Canucks and the Oilers this week. Do you want to start off with the Canucks?
Yeah, we can't play at home. I didn't think it was something to worry about, but now it's actually it's weird. We can't play at home. We give up 5 goals a game every home game, unless we're playing a bad team. We've played 10 home games now. 10 home games. You know how many we've won out of those?
Teacher? 2.
Hi. 3.
3.
You want to know who we beat in those 3? Stop guessing. Anaheim, Calgary, and who did we just beat? Chicago. Anaheim, Calgary, and Chicago. Those are our 3 wins at home this season.
Wow, I actually don't think it gets worse than that.
Every other game, we're giving up 5, 6, 7 goals. It's so weird. I don't know why we just can't play at home. Maybe the fan base is the problem.
Teacher?
All along. Yeah,
Teacher?
what's up?
That makes me remember of a time, I think it was in 17-18, maybe 18-19, when the Oilers, at home, they had the worst penalty kill in the league, at the very end of the year. But at home, it was 60%, and it was awful. On the year, it was 75, and that was last. But on the road, it was 93% for first in the league. It's just one of those really weird things that, you'd have to imagine it's the pressure of the fans. There's no other reason. Over the course of a season, there has to be some kind of pattern.
I don't know. It's so weird. The game they played against the Islanders was bad. Just straight up, they were awful. It was atrocious to watch. But the game they played last night against Nashville, they were actually good. I would say they outplayed Nashville. Nashville had us hemmed in our own zone a lot, but we made a great push in the third. We just couldn't get enough pucks to the net. We couldn't kill a penalty. I think we went over 2 on the penalty kill yesterday. It was just some silly mistakes too. Hronek had the entire top 2/3 of the net to shoot at one point. He hit the side of the net because that's
I saw
Hronek.
that.
Yeah, it was just stuff like that. Easy stuff. Sherwood missing the entire puck on the breakaway. He made up for it, so it's fine. He did.
Yeah.
I'm not blaming him, but it's just little things they're doing wrong. They aren't even playing. They didn't play that bad, and they played pretty well against Chicago. I would have liked for them to play better than winning 4-1 with 2 empty netters, but win's a win.
Nashville was definitely due for one of those games, I think, where they get slightly outplayed and then they just kind of get all the bounces, and they actually get power play finishing there from Stamkos.
Yeah, probably. He did have 2 really nice shots in that game.
Yeah.
The one penalty, though, the second penalty, I can't remember who it was on. I think it was Garland. I don't think that was a penalty. I'm just going to say it. They called holding. It was kind of weak. It was a little weak.
I haven't seen this. I'm not going to take your word for it, though.
Fair enough. But I don't blame the refs. I wouldn't blame the refs for that game as a whole, but that was the game-winning goal, so it's kind of annoying. I don't think it was a penalty. Looking forward to this next week, we have our final game of the 6-game homestand against the Rangers, so that's a loss. But now we go on the road where we're good, and the first stop is in my city. They're in Ottawa, and I get to see them.
Let's go.
In a week. So, well, more like 5 days at this point. So I'll be in the building. They're 3 for 3 in games I've gone to in Ottawa so far. So I need them to end. This is my senior year. I need them to end it off with a win. I need 4 for 4. My senior year. I need them to win so that I can go perfect in Ottawa, or they can go perfect in Ottawa. The problem is that in every game I go to, the problem is that every game I go to, Ilya Mikheyev scores, and he's no longer part of the team. So I don't know if they're going to be able to get many goals.
Well, he
anymore.
did score with Chicago, didn't he?
We don't talk about that. We don't talk about that happening. It didn't happen. It's a figment of your imagination. You dreamt it.
I had to laugh when I saw the goal notification. I didn't actually see it. I only saw the third period of that game.
I was really drunk when that game was happening, and I
Off the
watched
puss.
someone tap it in, and I was like, "Oh, that sucks." And then I saw the back of his jersey, and I saw the number 95, and I actually had to walk away
You didn't.
from. I had to walk away from the group, go into the kitchen, and just decompress after seeing William McCabe scoring.
You just.
I have
you
a
just
photo.
scream.
I took a photo of myself in the kitchen from when that happened. I found it the next morning. It's just. It's really that deep. It's that deep.
Well, sometimes you have those games. The
How do you
Oilers.
feel about Edmonton currently?
Yeah, we'll get into how I feel, but just in the schedule, we've got the deadly, absolutely deadly Montreal, Ottawa back to back. I mean, people just go through that and they just die. Nobody can beat those two. It's going to be about us. I'd expect a 10-0 final for the Oilers. If we don't put up a goal differential of like 5 on collectively on both those teams, I'd be a little concerned. Just an overall look at where the Oilers are right now compared to in previous years with their starts. People have seen. I mean, we are technically 500. We're 9-7-2. You look at this record compared to what it's been the last two years before this in the first 20 games. We are like doing good, like really good. Like this is setting us up to easily win the Pacific Division, which, by the way, we are tied for Vegas and in games played, and we're 4 points away. So if they lose their next 2 games and we probably beat Montreal and Ottawa, we'd be leading the division, assuming that the Canucks or Kings don't do the same thing, which they might. But we're in a good position where there's really no amazing Pacific Division teams right now. I think Edmonton and Vancouver are both. I don't know if I put Vancouver in the top 5 category, but I might. Honestly, I might. They've actually been. Their underlying numbers are pretty good, but I think defensively the Oilers are great. I think offensively it will get better. They haven't been great, but it's been good and it will get better. Goaltending, worst in the league, like genuinely worst in the league. So hopefully that changes. But I don't know if you solve it with a trade. I've kind of deliberated between it. Like Stuart, Skinner, you can talk about Bouchard however you want. I'm not going to talk about him anymore because I'm not going to be able to like convince anyone that like his statistics matter or whatever. Bouchard made some stupid mistakes, but at the end of the day, Skinner let in 4 goals on 22 shots. And on the year, he has the worst goal save above expected besides Georgiev, who has now bounced back. So you're not really setting yourself up for success. And I forget who said it on the Oilers Nation podcast, but someone said Bouchard is playing like Skinner's going to, save it. And Skinner's absolutely not going to save it. So I don't know. Skinner has done this before and he's bounced back. He even did it in a couple playoff series. Just in that little mini period, he fell off and then bounced back and won the series. And played amazing in like clinching games. But like the mistakes that Skinner is making are purely technical and mental. He has the ability, but he just look at the Marner's goal on the overtime winner. Just the pad isn't in the right spot. Like Bouchard is taking away the passing lane to Tavares. He should know that. And yet he's playing as if the puck is at the point. Like he's waiting for a slap shot. It's just weird how he's playing right now. And everyone knows he has terrible lateral movement. That is one part of his technical game that will never be solved. But that can kind of be, mended a little bit. But he's just making stupid mental mistakes. And I don't know. He might bounce back. I have absolutely no solutions there.
I don't feel like there's much value in talking about Stuart Skinner because everybody knows he sucks.
I didn't. I clearly didn't before this year. And he's genuinely been good in the playoffs is the thing. He's actually been good last year.
What do you think of the Reeves hit?
Oh, that's a good one. I mean, that's a typical one where you'll see half the people say, "Oh, keep your head up," and half the people say, "Throw the book at him. It's 30 games." I immediately knew. I actually didn't see the hit live. I was listening to it on the radio in the car coming home from my girlfriend's place, and it was described by Joe Bowen, the Leafs announcer, that it was like, oh yeah, that's immediately like 4 games, and that's how I knew, like, yeah, that's like 10. So I kind of assumed like 5 or 6, and it ended up being 5. It's straight to the head. To be honest, there's no play on the puck there, or even on like the body. Like it is an intent to injure, even if he didn't actually mean it to be intent to injure. That hit is purely just going for the head. So I think 5 games is appropriate.
I think he didn't intend to do it because it's Ryan Reeves, and I don't know if he knows how to skate properly.
That too.
But definitely a suspension. It's definitely a suspension. I would joke and say keep your head up if the same thing didn't happen to Besser recently.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Now I'm just on your side.
The exact same, not the exact same hit. I think in Besser's case, it's more in an area of the ice where there's kind of a play happening. With Nurse, it's just a puck retrieval, and like nothing's. If he hits him properly, nothing's going to happen. So
but in Besser's case, it was also a blind side, and Nurse
that
did
too.
have his head down.
I thought both hits probably should have been 4 or 5 games. So
yeah, it's kind of shitty because Jeannot got back from his suspension and immediately scored the game winner for LA in the game. He came back and Besser's still out. Besser's probably out for another week or 2.
That I've heard suggestions that you suspend when a player injures someone like that, you just suspend them for however long they're injured for.
Yeah,
that's a pretty cool idea, but not going to happen.
I don't think it works, but I like it as an idea. I just don't think it really works because, you could get unlucky. Maybe you hit someone and they re-injure something they've already injured. So like it could be a weak injury, but because they've re-injured it, you're out for a month instead.
I mean, you can have clean hits that injure people, right? So
yeah. So I think that's hard, but it would be nice to see players get more of a suspension for keeping other players out. Like that's another part of why the Canucks, I think, are sucking more recently because Besser was
they are lacking their best scorer.
Yeah, and now he's gone. And I mean, I love Lek. I really like Lekari-Maki. Besser's a better player than Lekari-Maki, though.
I mean, it's a good opportunity for him. That's where you.
No, it's good to see him. He's got a great shot. That shot on Varlamov for his first. That was
ridiculous.
And he's been making some good plays. I feel like he looks like he belongs. But I'd rather, if I want to win a game, I'd want to have Brock Besser in the lineup.
Yeah, it comes and it goes with those kind of young players. It's good to give them a taste when they're like 20, 21 years old, and then they actually start playing when they're 22, 23, but they can't consistently play.
Speaking of these young guys, I want to say Aatu Räty is insane. He's not insane. Insane is not the right word, but he is very solid. He definitely belongs in the NHL right now. I hope he can stay up for a while because he's currently at a 65% on faceoffs, which is obviously very valuable. He scored his first goal of the season, his first goal in the NHL in 2 years, or maybe 3 years. Yesterday, it was a good tip, very good tip. He's a smart player. I think he is the 3C of the future. Currently, I think he's solid as a 4C. I really, really enjoy Aatu Räty.
Really? Interesting. It's weird that you can see a young player excelling at a 4C role. Usually, that doesn't really happen.
It's not like he's putting up
like the face-offs part is kind of crazy. That is insane to me.
Yeah, he only has 2 points in 10 games, but he's getting fourth line minutes, so it's fine. I would want to test him out. I think I'd want to see him on the penalty kill at some point. They wouldn't do it now because he's just too young currently.
Yeah,
but I think he's got to be a penalty killer in the future. I feel like he's just got that defensive kind of game to him, and I mean he can win face-offs, which everyone knows is the best measure of how good a forward is defensively.
Exactly, it's true.
Yeah, I really like Räty, so I wanted to give him that shout out there.
I don't know. I kind of like when young guys get that defensive responsibility because so often they don't even get given the chance, so they just get assumed that they're not good defensively or they don't have it yet, and they're only given that opportunity later, and then it's like, oh, they're so good defensively. They've matured. They were never actually given that opportunity at all. So
Yeah.
it's good to see with Ratu.
It's kind of the thing with Höglander. Like, he's good defensively, but he's not going to get those chances.
No.
And we have a good amount of forwards that can kill penalties, so we're probably
Yeah,
fine in that
I think the
aspect right
Canucks
now,
are fine there.
our forwards are so good defensively. It's stupid. Like, especially now that we've gotten rid of Sprong, we have some amazing defensive forwards.
I feel like getting rid of Sprong single-handedly like raises their, or actually lowers their expected goals against by like an entire goal. It's crazy.
Lowers. Well, oh, yeah. No, he's so bad defensively. I wanted to test him out. I wanted to see him more, but I'd rather see Lekari-Maki up there. So I'd rather see Lekari-Maki and Ratu than Sprong.
Yeah, I was wondering when the Sprong experiment was going to end, but I mean they quit real fast. But I mean, really, good for them because it can often be hard, especially for Canadian teams, to really admit that something's not working, and to give up that fast on a guy who clearly was not going to fit there with the coach and with the team at all, play style wise. I got to give props to the Canucks, which doesn't happen.
I really like that we're giving the young guys the chance because I feel like keeping the young guys and having them go through this at a time when we are contenders is just going to make our championship window longer. Like Ratu, Höglander, Lekari-Maki, these are all guys that will hopefully be on the team for a while.
Oops, my bad.
But I mean, even Pettersson's young, Quinn's young. So I feel like I like having these guys up right now, getting their experience in. I hope that we can see. I don't think we'll see both Ratu and Lekari-Maki when the playoffs come, and Höglander might get traded. But I hope not. I hope Höglander stays.
Talking about Podkolzin there actually just made me think of something. So, I was at, what game was I at? I was at an Oilers game, whatever the last home game was, and the guys behind me, first of all, they were drunk and they wouldn't shut up the entire time. They were talking about, "Bro, Bouchard, get on the side, Bouchard, stop!" You know, those type of guys. And they were talking about Podkolzin being the next Klim Kostin. Just because, first of all, that's a really
high praise. That's
a really bad equivalency because they don't play like the same type of player at all. And then the guy beside me, who's a lot smarter, I don't know who he is. I've never seen him there at the game beside me, but he said he's more like a Russian Polyarvi. And I thought that is an absolutely perfect comparison because they're elite defensively, have absolutely no scoring ability, but are still like solid play drivers, can play with skill players, they hit people, they get blocks, they get a lot of like really low danger shots, and they're going to have like 10, 15 goals their entire career. You can utilize him in the top 6, but he's not even a secondary piece. He's a tertiary piece. But there's nothing wrong with that. You're paying him like $1 million. And if you can get him there, ideally he plays on the third line. He's even taken a spot from Jeff Skinner, who, by the way, is playing less ice time than Adam Henrique. I'm sorry for everyone I told to take him in fantasy. It might be a time to drop because Chris Knobloch clearly does not like him. I think there's even been some pretty significant trade rumors around him, and I mean, if he's playing on the fourth line tonight against the Habs in half an hour, it's not looking too good for him. He's actually played pretty good in those minutes, but defensively, maybe there's a back check here or there that he could have been better on. But like, come on, that happens to like McDavid and Draisaitl all the time. If I'm Knobloch, I'd probably play him like 5 minutes more. Right now, he's playing 13, and I'd prefer if he played like 18, like Arvidsson is. And the production isn't there, but he's just a little bit unlucky. I've liked what I've seen from Jeff Skinner in the minutes he's played, but it's clear it's not moving in a direction where he's going to be here long term. So
I think both of us have to admit we were wrong about some of our preseason predictions. You saying that Skinner was going to score 50 and me saying that Höglander was going to score 30.
Yeah. But you know what? Those aren't like they don't have the ability things. They're playing on the fourth line for no reason right now. Like,
Hoglander. There's a reason for Hoglander.
Skinner scored in every game, which is 2, that he's been put with McDavid. He literally works with him. I mean, they know they have it as an option all the time, and they go back to it sometimes, especially now that they're doing 11-7 with Darnell Nurse out. And, Josh Brown hockey. But
Hoglander's just straight up bad right now. He's just
really
not good.
Well, I haven't seen it. Is he actually just bad?
He is not good. It's been the past couple games, especially because people are hating on him heavy right now. But he's just not making the right plays. He's been missing stuff, taking dumb penalties, which he always has done. He got like over 50 penalty minutes last year. But he takes so many offensive zone penalties. He took a delay of game yesterday. He's just not doing the right stuff. I'm hoping he gets back to it because he was very good on our fourth line last year. I don't know.
Do you think? I don't know if there's been any trade rumors, but I know he's kind of been in them before. Do you think he gets moved?
I really, really hope not. I'm actually writing about this too right now, so I can't spoil too much of that. But I hope.
Would you
not,
expect it though?
Because, pardon?
Would you expect it though? I mean, you got Putcoles and he went.
If Hoglander were to get traded, I wouldn't be surprised. It wouldn't shock me, especially with the moves that this management has made in the past. Like they go for these kind of things, and considering we need defense, when you look at the forward group, he's probably the one most likely to be sacrificed.
I think the writing's on the wall with Hoglander, and I don't even pay attention to the Canucks. It feels like a guy that, I mean, it's another one of those guys who I feel like all of our favorite players get immediately dished, like Puljujarvi, Yamamoto, Ethan Bear. I wouldn't be surprised if Evan Bouchard is on the train to Kunlun Red Star tomorrow, to be honest, after these recent events.
Yeah, I want to think Hoglander won't get traded. I think it would be stupid to trade him because, he scored 24 goals last year. He's had a tough start to this season, but he had 24 goals last season. He's Swedish, so they like him, and he can clearly fit Tuckett's game. I feel like losing him just would not be a good thing. I think they should keep him. I don't know how desperate they are to win this specific season, though.
Obviously they should keep him. He's a young guy, and he probably doesn't have much trade value. It literally makes no sense to trade him. But that just feels like a guy that a Canadian team, especially in the West, would give up on. You know? It happens so many times. They're moving on from him, and he goes and he's a perennial 25-goal scorer somewhere else. I don't know. That's just my gut feel.
Okay, do you want to get into our fantasy week? Because I'm itching to complain.
Yes, let's do that.
All right, let me lay down the storyline, okay? So I'm facing Xavier in this 20-man league, and we get to Sunday, and the St. Louis game happens, and he has Neighbors and Kyrou. Neighbors scores assisted by Kyrou. At that point, I'm down by 21 fantasy points. But for the rest of the day, I have 8 more players, and he has 2. So I slowly but surely battle my way back. And in the Nashville Canucks game, I had 6 players. I had Saros, Lazan, Sherwood, Hoglander, Novak, and Carrier. And they were back.
He's Sherwood the scored, predator.
Sherwood scored. Saros played well. He got the win. And when it was all said and done, when when it was all over, the day was done, I lost by 0.04. The score was 146.74 to 146.7 in favor of not Mimamoto.
That feels real good.
Mimamoto, aka Xavier. I just want to say, fuck you, Sebastian Aho, for getting 0.2 fantasy points. The lights were too bright. The lights were far too bright.
The entire week?
No. Just on Sunday.
Oh.
He didn't do too bad the rest of the week, but I could have used more than one singular shot yesterday.
Oh yeah, that probably would have helped, I feel like.
He scored a goal on Saturday. He had an assist on the 13th. Still didn't do that well for me.
Kind of, you know what? Hold on. My top
Also-
performers in that week, I had. Okay, listen. It was tough for you because I had William Karlsson and Jack Hughes going absolute beast mode. Jake Neighbors was finally useful. Nico Hischier did something. And like when Nico Hischier does something, you're going to win your week. So,
But it's funny because if you look at the top talent, my guys outscored your guys like all the way down.
I actually had a really bad week, honestly.
I outscored you guys down to like the 10th player on your list.
I'm
Like,
pretty
if
sure
you
that was my
look at the
lowest scoring week
comparisons,
by a lot.
I didn't even. You just had better depth. I got zero. Oh my good God! I got 0.85 points from Connor Bedard all week. 0.85.
No. What a bum. You know what it is? You know what it was? I finally got a goal and an assist from Cutter Gauthier, who I picked for Tim's picks.
Dude, if I didn't pick up Vitek Vanacek, I would have won. He got me negative 0.24.
Ooh, and, I'm getting clowned for it now because Askarov got pulled up. But if I didn't drop Askarov for... I think I picked up... I picked up a random waiver player. Don't even remember who it was. Oh, I picked up Anton Forsberg. That's what it was. Yeah.
Forsberg
Not a
for
random
0.78 fantasy points.
That was a good pickup,
It's so
A goalie who plays a game.
0.04. That's not even a singular stat. There's not a stat in our league that is 0.04 or less. I lost by no stats.
What can I say?
This is so fucking stupid.
You gotta
And now
start-
I'm 2-4.
Your team's got to start playing some defense, I think, is what your
I
issue
guess
is.
so. I think Connor Bedard needs to do something.
I think he needs
Connor.
to wake up.
Any of Connor's friends, if you're watching this, please tell Connor he needs to do better than that. That is simply not good enough. 0.85 fantasy points. Are you fucking kidding me? I wish that you scored on my team.
You need to tell him he's a bum, is what you need to do.
Wait, don't do that. I don't want his confidence shot. I need him to do stuff. I drafted him
true.
like fucking 23rd overall. No, wait. 26th? 27th. I drafted him 27th overall. I need more. He's only averaging 2.8.
All right.
Don't like.
Last part before we go into the question segment, which I still haven't figured out all the questions, but we've seen some weird seasons so far from some people, and maybe not weird when it comes to the Penguins, but people have been talking about coaches and who's going to be the first coach to be fired, because usually you see that happen in late November, early December. The Penguins, Mike Sullivan, Andrew Brunette on the Predators, and I don't think anyone else is actually, maybe Derek Lalonde on the wings, but I think they're going to commit to him. Who do you think, and actually, do you think anyone's actually going to get fired before January?
I don't see it happening. The Penguins aren't going to fire Sullivan because then Crosby will be mad. Sidney Crosby, a great player, one of the best of all time. He's a winner. But he seems pretty obsessed with losing right now. He seems to really like it because he's not going to leave Pittsburgh, and he doesn't want Sullivan gone. He doesn't want anything to change. He just wants to keep losing. Lalonde, 100% he should be fired. He should have been fired months ago.
I agree.
He should have been fired last year. He's so bad. He's so bad. And they're not a good team. Detroit's not good, but they at least have the potential to sneak into playoffs. Not with Lalonde. He is not good. Brunette, I think, I don't think it's Brunette's fault that Nashville started off bad, to be honest. So I don't think Brunette should get fired.
Not at all.
Lalonde should be gone. Sullivan should be gone, but he won't be. So I don't know. I don't see anybody getting fired that early, to be honest. We'll see.
Just knowing the teams that have the potential to fire the coach, Nashville, Detroit, Pittsburgh, I don't actually think anyone's going to get fired until we're talking trade deadline. I don't think it's going to happen. Maybe Detroit, and my reasoning is they're not getting anything offensively out of anyone who isn't Dylan Larkin. Literally nothing. And if you look at the numbers, Patrick Kane has 2 expected goals for at 5v5 per second. It's so bad. When Patrick Kane is not generating good offense, it's your team's fault. It's not Patrick Kane's fault. It's actually a major issue where they just cannot generate anything whatsoever. And we know they're terrible defensively. Maybe a bit better than years past, but that little Gru-looking egghead really needs, like, I mean, how long did it take them to move on from their last coach? He was like 2 years past his expiration date. I mean, I don't think they're going to have the... I think Eisman's just too patient. Jay Woodcroft is right there. Go get him. He's a perfect coach for that team. Not happening, though.
They have to think, like, that new coach energy, that boost it gives you, too. They could get into playoffs just off of that alone. They could get into a playoff spot and then just, like, ride it out the rest of the year, just, like, have 500. And they could be fine.
The Jay Woodcroft Oilers...
Lalonde needs to be gone. He's so bad. And I see so many Red Wings fans so pissed that he's not gone yet. And, like, nobody's happy about him being there.
It just feels like a guy that's... It feels like a Dave Tippett situation where everybody knows it's not working. The players still like him, though, and management likes him. So it's going to take, again, like early February, I think, at the earliest. Maybe January if the Red Wings really suck, but their goaltending is still getting them some wins, and coaches don't really get fired until the goalie falls apart.
It was Jeff Blashill. That's who it was. He was there for far too long.
He was there for he was there for like 4 years. He shouldn't have been there for even the first one.
Yeah, no, they took so long to move on. And Lalonde was good at one point. He
at one point
he had a decent stretch at one point, but he's not a good coach. He's not good. He just looks like Gru, and it's funny.
Yeah, I like how he looks. You know, they don't have a good roster, so it's not fair to say it's all his fault. But yeah. I just feel like they should be scoring a bit more goals. His systems are just not really inspiring much. But
they have like some potential. Their defense looks ass, but they've had some of the best goaltending in the league this season.
Yeah,
like Talbot's been amazing, and I haven't checked in with them recently, but I think Lyon's still been
Lyon's been good.
So like even though their defense sucks, they're still getting that, and their forward group really shouldn't be this bad. They have some good depth. So like,
but if you took that away, they're low-key the worst team in the league this year besides the Habs, if you take away goaltending.
Yeah, I would probably agree just because nothing's happening besides their goaltending. Do you think Cam Talbot could get a spot at the Four Nations face-off?
Ooh.
Especially with how Binnington has sucked and Hill kind of sucks?
No, I don't think it's happening. I think they're going to go with the legacy pick. I think Fleury is going there no matter what. He's not going to be the starter. Fleury is going to be there no matter what, and then they're going to go with... Montembeau? I don't think they should, but they're going to go with Montembeau or Skinner or...
Better not be Skinner. If it's Skinner, I'm going to cry. If it's Skinner, I'm actually cheering for the USA. If Stuart Skinner is the Canadian goalie, I am switching to being an American.
Just historically, they're going to go with the starter of a Canadian team, you know. So that's just how I feel. It's not the right pick, but I think it's going to happen. I think Skinner's probably going to be the starter.
I would really love to see Cam Talbot though.
He's probably the best option.
Yeah. Yeah, also the betting odds on him to make it are really low, and I kind of want to bet on it.
I love that there's betting odds on that. Like, that's just, that's hilarious. All right, we are going to get into the question segment of this particular podcast, and we've got a few to choose from. So I'm actually we're gonna do 2 hockey ones, and then we're gonna do 1 real life one. I saw one that was like, what's your favorite cereal, but I know you don't like cereal, so we are going to do the first one.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
These are interesting. So this one's from Andrew McGear. I thought this said Andrew McQueer. Pick one team besides Calgary that is currently in a playoff spot that's going to miss, and someone who's not in a playoff spot that's going to make it.
Is Edmonton in a playoff spot? Oh, they are. They're barely in a playoff spot. Colorado for sure is. They're still going to make it, but they're currently not in a playoff spot. Other than Calgary, damn. Who do you think? You would probably agree with Colorado making it? Yeah.
If I had to choose one, yeah, I'd go with Colorado. Yeah. Because I mean, they're 2 points out right now. I mean, that's pretty easy. They're genuinely falling off, but they are not that bad yet. They will leapfrog Calgary.
it is really tough to say who is in a playoff spot. That like the only I'm
Boston.
looking at the Eastern Conference, and the teams that aren't in the playoffs are all just so bad. Like I don't see any of these guys making it.
That's the
It's
thing.
Philadelphia, New York, Islanders, Ottawa, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Detroit, Columbus, Montreal. I don't know if any of those guys are going to make it. I feel like the current Eastern Conference teams are probably the one. Like maybe Ottawa can make it over Boston.
That's what I was thinking, but I don't know. Boston has just been a little unlucky. I don't think they're actually that bad yet. They're definitely a wild card team now. You know what I would love to see, but it's not going to happen. But I'd like to see New York miss. Their numbers have been once again pretty bad, saved by goaltending. But I mean,
They're
I don't think
11-4-1. I think they're going to make it.
I think they're safe. Man,
yeah.
If there was one guy to miss,
I think the Kings could still miss, honestly. Just
Kings.
I feel like their schedule's been easy.
Okay, their schedule has been
exposed
easy.
them.
Maybe.
But they're still like they're doing.
It's been working for
fine.
them though.
Like they're 4 points ahead of Seattle, the same amount of games played. I wouldn't say they're like definitely in the playoffs. If I'm looking at these teams and I'm picking one that I think might not make it, it's LA. Besides Calgary, it's LA.
For me, it's Vegas. They've been truly really bad defensively. And once they're like 30% shooting percentage, that top line of Barbashev, Stone, well, Stone's not even playing anymore, and it's already wearing off. We've seen some cracks already. I think if they just have a couple bad stretches and then they play mid the rest of the way, they could miss. In a tight West, I think they can miss with like 95 points.
You fail to incorporate the fact that they have some kind of like voodoo luck or plot armor or something.
Plot armor?
And they will always just be good anyway somehow. It's like Boston. Like Boston should not be good.
Yeah, Boston
but
plot armor.
Fine.
Yeah. Makes sense.
They have plot armor. I don't think Vegas is missing. I don't think Vegas is missing because it would make me too happy, and that's not allowed.
If I had to pick though, I think that's who I gotta go with. Okay.
I hope it's not Vancouver. I'm getting concerned if we can't win on home. Like,
no, it won't be.
Assuming we're gonna lose to the Rangers at home because it's the Rangers, and also we're at home. We will have lost as many games as we've won. We just have 3 loser points, which is nice.
Well, I mean, them Cohen Besser will be coming back. They're, I mean,
we're 6-1-0 away. Jesus.
So next question here. Who is the number 1 trade candidate for your team?
Okay, this one we kind of we didn't want to get too much into before the podcast started, but you were saying some things that really intrigued me because I thought we'd have the same one. I think you've mentioned the name I'm gonna say, but then you said, "Why would you want Mackenzie Blackwood?" So now I'm thinking, it's your number 1 trade candidate?
Yes. My number 1
Blackwood?
trade candidate is Mackenzie Blackwood, and here's why. He's not the best goaltender on the market. I mean, maybe he is. He has really good numbers this year, but I don't know if long term, even though he's so young, he's just had some really bad numbers in the past. But right now, he's playing very good hockey. By evolving hockey, he is 7th in goal save above expected. Just saw that Puck Empire post, by the way. But when you think about it, the Sharks have no retention slots yet left. So his trade value as a young goalie who, this is his first year actually, well, besides like the 1 year with the Devils, this is his first year actually doing something. And it's with the Sharks, so his save percentage is going to look pretty bad no matter how good he actually is. I don't think it would cost more than like a 3rd round pick and a prospect. It wouldn't cost you Olivier Rodrigue, even though, I mean, if you're buying another young goalie, you'd probably want to trade him, to be honest. It would only cost like a 1/3, maybe 2/3. For a legit 1B, I think I'd like that. That would be really good. And I think because of how good the Oilers are defensively, I'd still like another top 4 D-man to play with Nurse. But I think if you just put Kulak there, I think you're fine. I think with how bad Skinner has been, you need a goalie more than a defenseman, easily.
I do think Blackwood's good. I was surprised that was your top option. I've had him in fantasy this season a couple times. I had him in fantasy when he shut out the Devils and got me 17 points. So I do like him. I think he's a good goalie. I don't think he's a 1B though in your system. I think he's literally miles better than Skinner. Like he's the starter, Skinner's the backup.
One year doesn't
Skinner can't save anything.
That.
Skinner's actually dust. Skinner's fucking Swiss cheese. Skinner can save a fucking beach ball. Skinner can score. Skinner can save something I shoot. Skinner's terrible. Blackwood, good. That's all there is to it.
I won't even disagree with you there. But wow.
As for my answer to this question, the guy I thought you were going to say, who I would say currently is Marcus Pettersson, because we really, really need another top 4 defenseman. Because quite simply, Tyler Myers, Carson Soucy is a pairing that just
nobody wants to see
work as our second pairing in the playoffs. Marcus Pettersson has been very, very good this season. He's
Erik Karlsson merchant.
Pardon?
He's an Erik Karlsson merchant.
Erik Karlsson is a Marcus Pettersson merchant.
Oh, you got me there.
The choices for defense that I'm most intrigued by are Pettersson and Anderson, but I would go Pettersson just because, analytically he looks a little better, and I think he'd be cheaper than Anderson because he's not putting up as many points.
Anderson is a mirage. He's not actually that good. His numbers have already fallen off. No more points.
But also, I think it's funny to have another Pettersson on the team, so that also
I didn't even think of that.
I really like Brandstrom. I feel like maybe you could switch one of them over. The problem is that we have so many left-handed defensemen currently. Like we have Hughes, Soucy, Brandstrom, and then Forbert when he gets back. So would you trade like Soucy in that deal? Would you trade Forbert? I wouldn't mind.
Well, Soucy plays both sides, doesn't he? What do you think it would cost? Like in terms of not just who you think you could go back, but what do you think in terms of assets it would cost?
I don't know. I guess it kind of depends on how long we wait. Is Pettersson a guy where you get desperate enough to throw a first?
No way.
Like I don't think so, but it comes to a point where we're looking. It's February and our second pairing is still Soucy Myers, and it's like, all right, guys, we kind of need to do something. And you kind of have to overpay sometimes. Like, look at what we paid for Lindholm. You got to overpay to get those guys because someone else.
You did not have to overpay for Lindholm, to be honest.
I think we did. People were going to take Lindholm, and it was worth it too. I still think that trade was worth it because Lindholm was possibly our best player playoffs all around.
That's a crazy statement.
He was our best forward coming forward. He was almost point per game. He scored that overtime winner against Nashville, which is just going to be like one of my favorite hockey memories of all time.
That was pretty nasty. I mean, I guess you could argue that was worth it just for that moment.
Lindholm was awful in the regular season for us, but he single-handedly, like throughout the playoffs, made Canucks fans want to give him $7 million for 7 years. So, like that, those are the trades you have to make sometimes. And we gave up a first, yeah. But when you're a contending team, you give away firsts. We gave away Brustevich because he didn't want to sign with us. We gave away Kuzmenko, who really just
was better than
kind of
Lindholm.
Once Lindholm didn't resign, I feel like I still think that trade was worth it. So sometimes you have to just overpay to get those guys, and I don't think we'd have to give a first for Pettersson. But if it gets to trade deadline day and we still don't have another defenseman, we might panic.
I don't think it would be a first though. I think that's maximum half retained, a second, and like an Elias Pettersson. I think it would cost him. But
I don't think we're trading that Elias Pettersson. I don't think we're trading him or Wielander, or obviously we're not trading Lekarimäki. I don't think we trade our younger Swedish prospects. I think it would be Höglander.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to edit that. Considering what they wanted from the Gensel trade, remember they could have gotten like a first and a bit, but they instead went for prospects who are going to play in like a year or two as a retool measure. They're probably just looking for Wielander there.
I don't think
mistaken.
They'd want to give Wielander, honestly. I don't think the manager. I feel like
think that's
Wielander
what it
should be off
costs.
the table.
I think that's what it costs.
But imagine like 5 years of our right defense having Wielander and Hronek. Like that's good. I don't think they want to give up Willander, especially because we're
Not
so
that good.
thin on right defenseman.
That's true. Probably just because of the positional need. But
He's good too.
you get what I'm saying? Like, it would probably be like Elias Pettersson, or it would be just the top prospect and like a fifth instead of being a big draft pick. So it definitely wouldn't be a first, but would probably be around that value in like a B or A level prospect.
Yeah, we do also have to clear money for all this too.
Yeah,
we
no.
kind of did
Well, I
with
mean,
Spawn,
Forbort
so
would
like
be
we have
going
some
back.
money in the bank, but
You know how much they love their former king. So Forbort absolutely would be going back. All right, so
please, dear God, trade Forbort.
we're running out of time. So we got to get into the last question here. Let me just look through. I'm gonna read off the very first like real question I see.
I thought we were doing the no trade list.
Oh, you want to do the no trade list instead of?
I do. I
As
don't
the
want
last
to do
question?
the 10
All right.
teams though. I want to do 5 teams because 10 teams is too much to keep count of.
Okay, just 5 teams.
5 teams. Do you want to go first?
I don't have it on me right now. I'll have to think while you're talking.
Okay. My 5-team no trade list, and this is based not only on team, but in location, stuff like that. I'm gonna ignore taxes though because that's boring. Obviously, Winnipeg is gonna be on there. I don't want to go to Winnipeg. I don't care how good they are. I'm not playing in Winnipeg. I'm not living in Winnipeg. That's number 1. Number 2, Columbus. You will not catch me living in Ohio. I can promise you that. I can't promise much. I can promise that. Number 3, goodbye Carolina. I don't care that you have a good team. I don't care that they're young.
Really?
My ass is not living in Carolina. Number 4, Vegas, just because I hate the Golden Knights so fucking much. I would never want to play for that team. I feel like that's an obvious one for me. I have an ass tattoo because of how much I hate the Vegas Golden Knights. I'm not going to play on that team. And my final one, I think, would have to be probably Utah. I think Utah.
Utah, really? Utah's nice. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not Mormon though, so.
Oh, that's true.
Like I would like any of the Californian teams. Living in sunny California would be nice. Living in sunny Florida would be nice. You know, like Texas is cool. I like Minnesota. Seattle's cool because I would get to watch Mariners baseball. And really, no. Oh, wait, no. I want to take back what I said about Utah. Utah, you're back in the table.
Back
I'm
on.
not playing. I refuse. I will not fucking play for the New York Islanders. Fuck you, Long Island.
Oh, that's a good one. I think they'd be in my 10 team, but they're not in my 5 team. My 5 team, it's going to be a little controversial because it's... Okay, let's start. Winnipeg, easy. I'm
glad we're in agreement.
No,
that we don't want to fucking live in Winnipeg.
If every NHL player was given a 1-team no trade list, it would be Winnipeg, except for the Winnipeg players. I feel like if you're actually living there, it's not that bad. It's just, it's Winnipeg.
You don't want to
go
from somewhere cool to somewhere Winnipeg.
I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's kind of the same deal as Edmonton, where it's really not as bad as people talk about, and it is gorgeous sometimes. But I also have Toronto because I've lived there before. I hate the fans and how much attention you would get there. The city objectively sucks. Have you lived there? The city is not good. I'm sorry. Downtown is cool if you can afford to live there. I guess as a hockey player you would, but man, the traffic there.
That's crazy. Dude, you wouldn't play for Toronto because you're too scared of the spotlight. That's crazy.
Yes, exactly. How many players have gone to Toronto and just absolutely hated it more than any other team? Maybe the Islanders actually in the 2000s. But you're going to like my next picks. Actually, you're going to hate them even more. Panthers and Tampa.
You don't want to live in Florida?
It's purely I love those teams and the way they're run, but Florida sucks. I'm sorry.
Don't want to get taken out by a natural disaster?
Well, yeah. Hurricanes are a thing.
I don't know.
Do they get tornadoes?
I think it'd be vibey to play in Florida.
I mean, Florida's not even going to exist in 50 years.
Wait. Okay, hang on. So one of the reasons you don't want to play in Toronto is because the fans are crazy and you don't want to get criticized too hard.
But
But if
I
you play
also
in
don't want
Florida,
to play.
No one gives a fuck. You can play like shit in Florida. No one cares.
Okay, well I don't want to be on both extremes. I feel like if I had the 10-team no trade list, I would also have places like Columbus and the Islanders where like people care about football, or the Rangers instead. So you're just not the topic of discussion. I would also have LA or Anaheim.
Wow.
I think I'd prefer to put LA on there, and I'd prefer to be in Anaheim. That's because the city, again, it's the same thing as Toronto minus the fan attention. I think the fan attention in LA is like the perfect level where people care, but it's not like the main topic. It's not the main sport going on. The city is just terrible. I'm sorry. I would like San Jose, but Anaheim as well. I mean, LA and Anaheim are the same city basically. So
You not like us. You not like us.
Oh yeah. Hopefully we have no LA listeners. No. Hopefully Kendrick's not listening. I don't know. Maybe he's not listening to a hockey
Kendrick
podcast.
Lamar, I don't agree with this man. He's a. I don't want to make you edit out what I was gonna say.
Oh,
Just kidding. He's a pedophile.
Right.
This man's a pedophile.
All right. 5:30. You know what time it is? That's the end of the podcast, and I'm gonna cut out what he just said right there. That was episode 6. Thank you for watching or listening. I love you.
Oh, that was a weird way to end it.